Did they really have to make it that hard? Did they really? That was absolutely insane. What a match. 7-6 on aggregates to Liverpool. But tonight, oh my God. I got my prediction massively wrong. I said I thought Liverpool would either get a draw or a win. I said 2-1 to Liverpool, but it turns out that Roma were just one goal short from taking it to extra time, winning the game 4-2 on the night. But of course, that wasn't enough. Just suicidal defending in the first half. I'm actually happy in a way though. I may not be a Liverpool supporter, but I'm an English guy, and I wanted Liverpool to go on and win this. And I don't think they will, but they're into the final, which is fantastic for English football. But there's a very small part of me that wanted the story. You know, Roma beating Barcelona like they did, and then beating Liverpool in the same fashion. It would have been incredible, and it was so close. If there was another 2 or 3 minutes, I actually think they would have got another goal. I think it would have gone to extra time. And can you imagine how defeated Liverpool would have been feeling at that point? I don't think Roma would have been knocked out. I think they would have gone on to win in extra time. I'm getting texts. It's probably my granddad saying, "Did you just watch that game?" That was absolutely crazy. One of the best games of the Champions League this season, and that is saying a lot because there's been a lot of great games. And since when did the Champions League have so many goals? It's like they said, right, for this year's tournament, you all have to suck at defending. We want at least 5 goals every game. It honestly feels like they've decided to all go full on attack mode and just have fun. And I, for one, would love it if it was always like that. It was absolutely incredible. No 0-0s in sight. Just absolutely fantastic football attacking-wise. Defensively, I thought both teams tonight weren't great. And let me get on to something that happened yesterday really quick between the Madrid and Bayern game. My video didn't go down very well in some opinions because I said that the better team went through. And I've watched it back and I think I worded it wrong. I still think the best team went through, but I don't necessarily think they played the best football. I think Real Madrid got very, very lucky, and I think Bayern played really well. But the best team went through because they were more clinical. And I want to say that about Liverpool. I think that Roma got very unlucky tonight. There were definite decisions that should have gone their way tonight, and I think had they gone that way, we wouldn't be here right now saying that they've been knocked out. I think that there was 2 penalty decisions that weren't given. I think Liverpool definitely rode their luck a little bit tonight, but that's not what this is about, is it? It's the Champions League. You've got to take your chances. Even if the referees are seemingly against you and the football gods do not want to give you anything to help you, it's football. Every team has those games. They have issues with, the luck not going their way. And I feel like Liverpool deserved to go through just purely because they blew Roma away in that first game. The second game, they weren't great tonight. And I think, can you imagine if they bottled it? Can you imagine if they actually bottled it? There was a huge potential for them to turn up today and completely lose it. And it didn't happen. It almost happened, but it didn't. So you've got to give Liverpool and Klopp massive respect and credit for that. And it's going to be one hell of a final. It really is. I cannot wait to see the final between Liverpool and Real Madrid. I've already predicted that this was going to happen, that Liverpool would go through. But I also predicted that Real Madrid would win the final, and I stand by that. I just don't see anyone beating them. But, however, if there is one team capable of beating Real Madrid, if Liverpool turn up on their game, I should say, if they turn up in the form of their lives, they have a shot. They really do. They have the potential to beat Real Madrid at their own game. They'll just outscore them. And that was Roma's downfall. They still scored 4 tonight and they didn't go through. It just felt like no matter what they did, Liverpool would just go down the other end and score. And that is absolutely horrendous to play against. I can imagine it's a real confidence wrecker that, yes, we've scored, but they're going to score again. We have to score 2. Every time Liverpool scored in this leg, it was like, they have to score 2 now. Roma were just always on the back foot, and that is not what you want to be doing in Champions League games. So it's a real shame because I love the story, what happened with Barcelona in the Barcelona game. Roma just, coming out the other end in crazy circumstances. And it would have been incredible if they could go on and beat Liverpool and then somehow win the final against Madrid. It would have been probably the story of the century, other than maybe Leicester winning the Premier League. But it just wasn't to be, was it? And I feel for the Roma fans, I think they should be very proud of their team. They've got some incredible players, some very young players with huge potential. And they've also got quite a few players at the club that, they're reaching the end of their careers. Daniel De Rossi, for example. Dzeko, Nangolan, they're getting older. They will have to replace those players over the next few seasons, but I really wouldn't worry about Roma. They are in a good place right now. They may not be, winning the Serie A, but they're still relatively competitive there. And they're into the semi-finals of the Champions League this season, which is really, really good. So, heads up, it wasn't to be tonight. And yes, had the referees been a little bit kinder, had the luck been with you, you would have gone through. But lesson learned, I guess. In that first leg, Liverpool just blew you away. That is just the way it is. And I'd love to know the Liverpool fans' thoughts in the comments below. Tell me how you're feeling right now, because the last time I can remember feeling something like you would be now is, of course, when Arsenal got to the final of the Champions League before, and it was against Barcelona. We went down to 10 men in the first half, and of course went on to lose it. But I remember that feeling of going through to the final with the club that I support, and I don't think I'll ever get that feeling again with Arsenal. So I would love to know how you Liverpool fans are feeling, and who was your man of the match. So I wanted to go through the Liverpool team and kind of combine the first and second leg performances together, and to pick out who I think's been the best over the two legs. I might do the same with Roma as well. Pretty easy for me. I think I'd go with Dzeko. I thought El Shaarawy was fantastic in this game today. He was very disappointed to be going off. I think he might have picked up a little bit of an injury. Who knows? Doesn't really matter now, does it? I think that for Liverpool, though, it's very close between Salah, because of the first leg performance, which for me was one of the best performances I've seen in a Champions League team for so long. Getting those 2 goals. He didn't score tonight, and actually, to be honest, I think he had a pretty quiet game. But the other name that maybe a lot of people would be mentioning is Mane. I think Mane's been extremely good. Milner as well. Now, this is a touchy subject because Milner, I know he's got a lot of critics because he's not the most exciting footballer to watch, let's be honest. But look at his stats this season in the Champions League. Just look into the assists, okay? He's been arguably one of the best midfielders in the tournament. And he's English. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. And the fact that Liverpool so heavily rely on him at the moment says everything. Without Milner in that midfield, they really struggle. And I know they've got injuries, and that's probably one of the main reasons that Milner's been thrown in and the reason he's getting so many minutes right now, and he's able to show what he's got. But it's the experience he brings, the calmness, and he's just been an absolute revelation. So although I don't think he's been necessarily the standout player, I think Milner was the key. I really do. But Salah has to be the man who gets the credit, the plaudits, whatever you want to call it, because of those 2 goals in the first leg. He did contribute tonight. May not have had his best game. Seems like his season is slowly fizzing out a little bit, but we've still got the final Premier League games and the Champions League final, of which he could break that record for Liverpool, the most goals scored in a calendar No, it's not a calendar year. It's just a season, isn't it? Is it 47 he needs to score in less games than I think it's Ian Rush had? So I honestly feel like he's still got time to really show us what he's capable of in the biggest stage, the biggest game in club football, which is the Champions League final. But Madrid, they're going to win it, aren't they? And do you know what? I'm going to say this, and hopefully it jinxes my prediction, but I think Real Madrid are going to win that game 3-0. Okay? Now, I don't think that's going to happen because I've said it. That seems to happen a lot for me. I think, we're weeks away and we don't know what the lineups are going to be. We don't know what injuries, suspensions, things like that. They could happen. You might find that Salah breaks his leg or something. It could honestly happen. But I feel like Real Madrid have a little bit too much. They've had incredible luck this Champions League campaign and over the years. I mean, there's a reason why teams don't win it potentially 2 to 3 times in a row, okay? I know that I think it was in the old Champions League tournament. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Is it the Euro League or the Europe League or something? Europe Championship. It was somewhat different then. Now, teams do not go back to back. And Madrid have a chance to do it 3 years in a row. And that's just 4 out of 5 years it would be. 4 Champions League wins in 5 seasons. It will never be done again, I don't think. And I do feel like a lot of it is not only down to a bit of luck and a bit of, the referees making decisions against the other team that maybe weren't fair, giving Real Madrid a little bit of lenience. But it's down to their squad, and the management they've had over the years has been top quality. And Ronaldo, pretty much Ronaldo, he's broke every record you can think of on the way. He's just he's such a big player for them, and I think that he'll go on to win the Champions League final for Real Madrid. I just don't see past it. But I hope for you guys, for you Liverpool fans, and for the English football community, that Liverpool somehow pull it off. It would be incredible. And it's been 11 years since they won in Istanbul against AC Milan, which to this day probably is still one of the best football matches of all time. And it would be great for them. You know, I'll be jealous as an Arsenal fan, but it'll be great for Liverpool supporters and the club itself, and for England, for English football, for them to bring it home. But I would, if I was a betting man, and I'm really not, I would be putting money down on Madrid. They will turn up, they'll be fired up, they want that third one in a row, and they'll be setting history. That won't be done again, I really don't think. And does it make that squad go down in history as probably the best club team in history? Does it? I think it pretty much does, doesn't it? Winning the competition 4 times in 5 years, that surely makes it the most iconic and successful club team in history. You know, I think about Barcelona kind of, 2007 to 2010 with the tiki-taka football, but they didn't win 4 Champions League in 5 seasons, that's for sure. So I think it might... Let me know your thoughts below. I don't know. It's a tough subject. You know, you think of the Invincibles, but they weren't good enough to win the Champions League. You think of Chelsea's ultimate squad with Drogba up top. They did win the Champions League, but 4 Champions Leagues in 5 seasons. It will not be done again. And to be fair, it might not happen. They might not win. They might not, but I think it's unlikely. Thank you for watching this review. Apologies to anyone who thought yesterday's video was poor. I mean, having watched it back, I think I had some silly points that maybe I should have backed up with a few more facts. But hopefully tonight's video has been a bit better, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe and click the bell, and I will see you next time. And GG to Liverpool. See you in the final against Madrid in just a couple of weeks.